What is going on? I'm just gonna jump straight into this and tell you guys the story. So, we see the IDF. They call themselves the Israeli Defense Force, even though it should be called the IOF, Israeli Offense Force, because nothing they do is defensive. It's offensive 99% of the time. Again, let me just state this: when a Palestinian goes and kills an innocent Israeli, that's wrong. That goes against the teachings of Islam and everything. Now, I want the Jews and the Christians to admit when the IDF or Israeli soldiers go and they genocide and murder people and their races and stuff, that's wrong. Unless that's what your Bible teaches. Unless your Bible says, "I have not come to bring peace, but brought the sword." Is that what your Bible teaches? You tell me. But anyway, we see the IDF shot. They killed a guy whose name was Ibrahim Abu Tureya, who is a 29-year-old Palestinian from Gaza, and he lost both his legs in an Israeli airstrike, which also destroyed his home in 2008. And I've talked to Zionists, and they try to use this talking point, and I always rebuttal it, and then after I rebuttal it, they always shut up. So they say that Group A or B is hiding behind civilians. Number one, this is false. But for the sake of argument, hypothetically, if I agree with them, even though they use human shields and the Israeli soldiers just look up pictures on the internet, for the sake of argument, hypothetically, let's say I agree with them, even if Group A or B did or didn't, the Israelis purposely attack infrastructure on purpose, and then after they attack and break buildings and stuff, they won't let the Palestinians rebuild it or let material come into the country to rebuild their stuff, and then they use excuses like, "Oh, no one's using that, no one's rebuilding it. Let's come over and make settlements." That's literally how they behave. They purposely attack infrastructure, won't let people rebuild it, then they'll come and claim it as their own, and they'll build their own settlements. But anyway, watch this video, and then I'll give you guys some commentary after it.
Ibrahim Abu Thuraya was a double amputee in a wheelchair. He was severely injured in the year of 2008 by an airstrike of Israel. Ever since then, he was going on his wheelchair. He was totally depending on the wheelchair, but he never stopped the struggle against the Israeli occupation. Last Friday, he went to another demonstration against the occupation and against the recognition of the United States in Jerusalem as the Israeli capital. He moved on the ground, he moved on his wheelchair, he had raised the Palestinian flag in his hand, and then a sniper of the IDF, the most moral army in the world, shot him dead. He shot him in his head, and Ibrahim Abu Thuraya was killed. 9 years after the Israeli army took both his legs, the Israeli army took his life. Israeli media hardly mentioned it. Most of the newspapers and TV shows didn't even inform the Israelis about the killing of a double amputee in a wheelchair. Can you imagine yourself what would have happened if the Palestinians would have dared to do the same crime and kill a double amputee in a wheelchair? Do you know how much blood, how many arrests, and how many words would have been spread about the barbaric Palestinians who do those things? The killing of Ibrahim Abu Thuraya should bother anyone who cares about international law, about justice, about equality, and about human values. Yesterday he was buried in Gaza, and Israel couldn't care less.
All you have to do is Google the definition for terrorism. Just type in terrorism definition on Google, and the first definition that came up is the unlawful use of violence and intimidation, especially against civilians, in the pursuit of political aims. And then some people also add in the use of violence for religious or political reasons and stuff. But again, you saw the Israeli soldiers sniping, this man in a wheelchair, and then their websites are saying this was not intentional, it's an accident, and some of their websites are denying it. You know they have policies where they snipe kids throwing rocks. So a little kid who throws a rock, they have snipers sniping them. That's what the IDF or Israel's government allows, and that's what they do, and that's what their disgusting terrorist army does. So again, this is an accident, some of them say, or some of them will deny it. Well, again, Just Google the stories where they snipe little kids and stuff. Literally, 6-year-old, 10-year-old kids just throwing rocks. They snipe them. They literally do it intentionally. It's one of their policies. But again, we see them being exposed day by day. They are these people who call themselves Zionists and stuff. You see them in Israel, and then they'll use a talking point saying this is the only democracy in the Middle East. For the sake of argument, let's just say I agree with them. Just for the sake of argument. Whenever I debate these people, I always tell them, okay, for the sake of argument, let me agree with you, and then I rebuttal their talking point. And for this, I would say is if you have a racist, bigoted, Islamophobic country, literally, they're racist. All you gotta do is look at their laws and stuff. They're an apartheid state. The people there support racist, bigoted, Islamophobic policies. So if the majority of your country is like that, and democracy means for the people, by the people, of the people, or whatever, they're gonna vote hateful policies. That's just the way it is. So yeah, and isn't freedom of speech supposed to be a thing? The freedom to protest or whatever. So you saw this guy being shot for peacefully protesting. And then also you're gonna have and then you see, since we're on the topic of freedom of speech, remember there are people here in the United States who say things with nasty connotation or that are bigoted or Islamophobic, then they'll yell free speech. But then they try to shut down other people's free speech, specifically Muslims' free speech, or Palestinian activists who go on college campuses, the Zionist or the Judeo-Christian organizations try to shut down their free speech, but at the same time they yell free speech. Just think about this double thing. So people who are peacefully protesting, the Israeli media calls terrorists, but at the same time, the IDF is the one killing innocent people and murdering them who don't have weapons. This is doublethink, or this is some kind of where they just make you believe in lies or contradictory things. But again, I'm gonna end the video right there. I don't know what more proof you guys need. Don't be figuratively deaf, dumb, and blind. Remember to always side with the oppressed and not the oppressors, regardless of race, religion, gender, ethnicity, and etc. Reflect upon that. Peace.